Hello every pony, Scar89 here once again to read another fan fiction that may or may not be good. Who knows? Today I will be reading Pinkie Pie Discovers Coffee by Chris Spartan 117. So yeah, I'm scared, mostly because Pinkie Pie finds coffee. Let's hope this is a good one. If not, well, enjoy anyway. I don't know. The hallway to the second floor of the Sugar Cube Corner was quiet, almost eerily quiet. There wasn't a noise to be heard, despite how there were two newborn foals and a notoriously hyper pink pony in one of the bedrooms. As the Cakes came upstairs, it was music to their ears, as there wasn't any commotion so far. They opened the door to the twins' bedroom to catch them asleep in their cribs, with Pinkie Pie standing watch over them, looking a little sleepy herself. She perked up when she saw their parents come in, and shut the door behind her. "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Cake," Pinkie Pie whispered. "I thought you were going to be gone a lot longer. You said you wouldn't be back until 3, but now it's only 2:15. Did the ponies in the baking contest not like you two?" "Oh, dear no," Miss Cake responded. "They thought we were wonderful judges, but it wasn't as long as we thought it would be." "But that's not the best part," said Mr. Cake. "We came home to tell you that we finally got the catalog." He reached into a bag resting on his back to reveal a catalog for cafe products. The title was Getting a Better Day's Rest, a listing of cafe products 2012. And had a picture of many goodies like coffee cups and cupcakes for a cover. "Ooh, does this mean we're selling more stuff in the corner now?" asked Pinkie Pie. "We have so many treats to choose from, like cupcakes and carrot cakes, like your names, and all of the ponies say to me, 'I love these cakes, Pinkie Pie, thank you so much.' But if we sell more things in the corner, even more ponies will go out with smiles on the way out, and who doesn't like to smile?" "I know I do," laughed Mrs. Cake. Never tired of Pinkie's imagination. "How were the foals while we were gone?" "Wonderful! They're getting better all the time, and I only had to use 1 bag of flour today." "Flour?" puzzled Mr. Cake. "What were you doing with that bag of flour?" "Oh, just for baking cakes. I promise that's all they do. After all, their bodies are growing up, and now they can know all about cakes." The Cakes bought the excuse, and looked back to see the foals sleeping soundly. They agreed to pay Pinkie the agreed amount of bits, and she escaped outside the corner, saying something about needing to be part of Twilight's latest experiment involving mains. They sighed once they were alone. Okay. They sighed once they were alone, grateful that Pinkie appeared to be getting better all the time at the full-sitting business. Not wanting to wake Pound Cake and Pumpkin Cake, they went downstairs and brought out the mini jars of bits labeled expansion money on each one. "It's finally time," he smiled over to her. "Can you believe it? After all these years of saving up, we finally have enough to look at this and buy something." "I can't believe it either," she said. "I'm really proud of you. Now let's see what we can buy. But what can we get out of these products?" "That's the best part of waiting this long. We can get almost everything on this catalog, and as many things." Eager to see for herself, she flipped through the pages and eyed the prices, and it was true. There had to be thousands of bits in their inventory just for this, and nothing was above 1,000. They could cherry-pick whatever they wanted, and it wouldn't be a problem. But picking exactly what was trickier than they don't have a comma there, and I think it needs to have a comma. But picking exactly what was trickier than they imagined. There were entire pages full of items there that they were already carrying, particularly in the pastry section. It was odd because the catalog went with brand names, and occasionally they would even see their own name in it, successfully franchising some of their best-known items. Then things got a little more interesting. There was a section full of things they never had before, in a section called the Cafe Choice. Here they found such things like coffee cakes, bottled drinks, and coffee drinks. "Honey, what do you think about this coffee business?" she wondered. "You mean the drinks loaded with caffeine?" he responded. "I haven't had a cup of coffee in years, but I remember in college I used to drink them all the time. I had to pour a bunch of sugar and cream to like how it tasted, though. It wasn't worth the trouble." This Starbits, really? It's Starbucks, like bucking. But they call it Starbits. I don't know. Anyway, Starbucks, like bucking apples or something. Where? Oh. This Starbits brand says it comes with all of that inside the coffee, and you're supposed to serve it with all the sugar and cream inside. That's how their machine works. Can I see that? I haven't heard of a coffee maker like this before. She pushed the catalog down the table, and he looked over the Starbits section. The illustrations of what the drinks were supposed to look like was a complete 180 from what he remembered. They were in towering cups and had so much inside that it was naturally white. The sign of a good cup of coffee, and how they first met. Wait, what? Oh, how they first met. I don't get it. I don't know. It just says, how they first met, ... I get it. "I don't know about this cupcake," he admitted. "It is expensive to carry, and that's something we'll have to pass down to the customer. And we built this brand on cheap prices and good food." "But I've heard what happened to other ponies that carried Starbits before. They got a lot of business come in, and we can always keep the rest of our menu." Now he was going to have to think about this, and he trotted back and forth, trying to weigh the pros and cons of the move. He knew he would still have money left over, but if he voted on this one, he wouldn't have this much flexibility again for a while. But then again, he heard the stories, too, of the business cults getting richer when they let their customers carry Starbits. "Fine," he groaned. "But are you sure we'll get more ponies coming in if we do this?" "Well, we'll be the first in Ponyville to have Starbits coffee. That's big, you know. They're all in Canterlot and Cloudsdale right now." What about Lost Pegasus or Trottingham or whatever? Anyway. Really? Then I'm going to place an order for that machine right now. "Stay still, this won't hurt," Twilight said, trying to keep Pinkie still. "But I don't know what this machine does. Does it zap ponies with a huge laser, sprays them with gas, and keeps them sleeping for years? I don't know!" Pinkie shouted. The massive machine took up almost all of Twilight's first floor, pointing down at a table with what looked to be a point at the end. She tried in vain to strap Pinkie down, only for her to hop out of her grasp and hop around, looking at the many blinking lights on the machine. "No, it doesn't do any of that. It's perfectly safe," Twilight explained. "It's part of what could be a breakthrough in main technology, one that could change all of Equestria. Oh, when you put it that way, I want to see what this is. Maybe you can make it poofier." I don't think that's possible for Pinkie Pie. Twilight shook her head and finally got the pony to strap herself in. With the Manic ready to go, the unicorn went up to a ladder going high above and found a dial going around. There it had a color wheel in all its glory, and she turned it to the color blue. She proceeded to press a gigantic red button next to the color wheel, and the machine began to hum. The noise was quiet start, and got louder by the sound, until Twilight had to cover her ears to not lose any hearing. Inside, a laser emerged from inside, pointing straight at Pinkie's mane. It was red-colored at first, until it cycled through all of the colors in the wheel, before landing on blue. It widened to cover all of the table. Pinkie disappeared in one big blue laser light. How is she not going to go blind from this? The light was almost as bright as the sun, yet she didn't complain at all through it all. And yet she didn't complain at all through it all. Hey, this kind of tickles! What do you use to make this machine going? Gems and magic, Pinkie, Twilight responded, using a pair of goggles to cover her eyes. The whole room was immersed in the color blue before fading away at last. Everything back to normal. Twilight's goggles were burnt to a crisp, and she discarded them away, climbing down to see if her work paid off at last. And it did. Pinkie held up a mirror to see her mane had turned from its naturally pink shade to a dark blue. Wow! Now I look like... Wait! I don't know many ponies with this kind of blue mane. Colgate has blue, but it's not all blue. It's white, too. Yes! It worked! Twilight exclaimed. I can finally change the color of a mane! This is going to be great! Have they ever considered, I don't know, dyeing it? But you already can change the mane color already. It's called mane dye. See, I was right. I was right, see? I know about that. However, if this works like I want it to, you can change it permanently. You'll never need another bottle again. Pinkie looked back at the mirror, looking back at her new blue mane. Actually, can you change it back to pink for me? I really liked it pink, and pink is my name, and Pink's in my name after all. After all, I don't think Bluey Pie has the same ring to it. No problem. I just hope I don't set the house on fire. It does make a lot of smoke. And there we go. It's all finished, Mr. Cake said as the brand new Starbits neon sign lit up on the storefront window. I don't like coffee. I don't know why everyone needs to sell coffee. It's not that good. I don't like it. It had the image of Celestia looking at the viewer, her hooves lifted up and pointing at her head, with a flowing dress on and coated in green all around. The sign said, "We proudly serve Starbits coffee," for yet another great selling point for the bakery. How does it look, Honey Bun? Miss Cake asked from inside, propping a door open to hear his reaction. It looks amazing! You were right. This was the right choice, he said, coming in to take a big look at the new steel-plated coffee machine. I had one of their lattes, and it was delicious. What do you think will be our first customer? Oh, who do you think will be our first customer? Right then, Pinkie Pie and Twilight Sparkle came in, with their whole bodies covered in ashes from head to hoof. They waved to greet the cakes, thrilled for some odd reason. Maybe it was how Pinkie's hair was back to normal. Good heavens, girls! Miss Cake gasped. What happened to you two? Do you need to go to the hospital? It's nothing, Mrs. Cake, Pinkie assured. It's just that Twilight wanted to be a mad scientist for a day, and I said, how do you want to experiment on me today? And she said, I want to permanently change your hair color because I'm crazy! And I went along with it, and the machine worked. I even had a blue mane, but it's very big. It's a very big machine. So when we changed it back, we had to go through 3 fire extinguishers. Don't worry, though. She only lost one book, and it was an evil book on this scientist named... Twilight had enough and shut Pinkie up with a hoof in the mouth. What she's saying is we're fine. We had a good time. Then the shine from the steel coffee machine parked in front grabbed her attention. What's that? That is our brand new coffee machine, Mr. Cake boasted. It's the latest addition to our menu, and it makes all kinds of coffee. Lattes, frappes, plain coffee. It's something we agreed ponies like and you would like. What's coffee? Pinkie asked. Oh, okay. This is gonna get very weird very fast. He opened his mouth to answer back before the thought hit him. Pinkie Pie with a cup of coffee. The idea of such a hyperactive pony with a whole cup of caffeine in her system. Well, technically that doesn't really work that way. Sometimes caffeine can make you really, really tired, especially to hyperactive type people and or ponies. So maybe she would not go crazy. I'm just saying. Yeah. Mr. Cake almost fainted at the mere idea of it before answering, "It's a drink made of these beans, you see, and they're all mixed together to make a drink full of caffeine. Caffeine helps you keep all of that energy you have, and if you're really tired, it can help keep you awake." Who's saying? I think I'll just say this is Twilight. "That sounds good. Can I try it first?" Oh no, wait, that's Pinkie. "That sounds good. Can I try it first?" He gasped when he heard those words. It was going to happen whenever he wanted it, or whenever it was going to happen, whenever he wanted it to or not. Okay, whenever he wanted it to or not. I think that's supposed to be whether he wanted it to or not. I don't know. He looked back at his wife, and while she looked as grim as he did, she nodded, acting as approval to put Ponyville in danger and go ahead and make her something anyways. Are you sure you want one? You might not like the taste." "But I just looked at the new menu, and it says you use milk for that frappe. That's the best thing ever. Milk is tasty, and frappe is fun to say. Frappe, frappe, frappe!" "Fine. One frappe on the way. What flavor?" She looked back up at the menu, seeing all the flavors. "I like chocolate!" With the order of doom made, he went over to the machine. This could mark the end of Ponyville, and he knew it. I think he's just overreacting there. He went ahead and put the setting on, ordering it to make one large Why a large? Why not just a tall? He could just make it tall, and then that's like the smallest size you can get. Or even just a little, like, plastic cup. Just to give a taste. Oh, never mind. Ordering it to make one large chocolate frappe. The cup was placed in the dispenser, and it would take a while to make, delaying their final moment a little longer. It was a relief to him. As he wanted to enjoy this final moment with his wife, she came over and they hugged tight to each other, like one would before being shipped off to war. Twilight Sparkle didn't get this at all. What was the big deal? She smiled at as the machine whirled, making the first cup of coffee ever. She didn't know how it would taste, which just added to the excitement. Would it really taste like a chocolate bar? Or would it taste like melted chocolate, which was just as yummy? All the possibilities, and it was going to be great. After several minutes, the machine topped the whipped cream on top with chocolate syrup, the final step in the process. Mrs. Cake pulled back and watched in tears as Mr. Cake pulled the frappe out and put it on the counter to within Pinkie's reach. "There, one chocolate frappe," he wept. "I'm so sorry it took this long." "What? That's not a problem, especially when it's this good," Pinkie assured. "Now let's dig in, every pony!" She stuck a straw through the layer of whipped cream and right into the sugary goodness. With her mouth watering, she stuck the straw in her mouth and took one large gulp of the stuff. That's what she said. The caffeine going inside her body and empowering her energy. The cakes dove under the counter, preparing for the worst. They held onto each other, praying that Celestia would take their lives early so they wouldn't have to see a destroyed Equestria. But nothing happened. There was nothing but peace, quiet, and Pinkie saying, yummy! They came back up to see Pinkie still with the frappe, still looking happy as ever, and Twilight still had no idea what was going on. "Wait, you haven't exploded yet?" Mr. Cake asked. "Nope," Pinkie responded. "What about the caffeine? Don't you feel it any different?" Mrs. Cake said. A little. My stomach feels like it's got a bunch of ants crawling all around, and they're the most hyper ants I've met. But that's it." Shocked and surprised, they wiped the sweat off their foreheads. Well, Mr. Cake said, "I think this is going to work out after all." Yes, indeedy. It's really delicious. It does taste like a chocolate bar. I want this every day if the ants calm down." "It does look delicious," said Twilight Sparkle. "You think I could have a sip?" "Of course." Uh-oh. She handed Twilight the cup, and the unicorn used her horn to bring the cup over to her face. She took the straw in her mouth and took her own sip of the masterpiece before giving it back. "Wow, that is really good," she noted. Now I really should go back and dust all the dust off my... Oh, my Celestia! I love you guys! Suddenly, Twilight became a living ball of... I knew it. Suddenly, Twilight became a living ball of energy, exploding up in the air and launching straight for the cakes. They were taken off guard as she tackled them to the ground, her pupils shrinking as she became the horror they were afraid of. "Oh my gosh, I just thought of how awesome it would be that if you had coffee!" Twilight ranted, slurring her words together. "It's coffee! I can't stay awake all the time, and now it's all thanks to you!" She leaped off the counter and onto the table area. "I love coffee! Yes, in fact, I want more than two! And how about we dance? And I swear I'm not going to be in a trance!" Twilight, you're sounding like Sakura now," Pinkie noted, as the cakes fled for their lives to the second floor. "I'm sure that's nice, but do you even know what you're rhyming?" "Of course I know, because coffee is the answer to everything. That is 2 plus 2 for coffee. This is the center of the universe. Whatever coffee is present. But Princess Celestia, I will learn about the magic of coffee." The unicorn launched and crashed her way outside the window, raving like a beautiful lunatic about coffee to any pony that would listen. "Okay, Twilight, you're acting really silly," said Pinkie. "But silly is fine. Silly is the best mood to be in, because that means you can make people smile." "I know!" screamed Twilight from outside. "I can conquer every book of the day, and that means I can use my new free time to learn more about friendship." Just then she felt something piercing her neck. She pulled it out, and to see it was a tranquilizer dart. When she looked up, she found Mrs. Cake inside with a tranquilizer dart in her mouth, aimed right at Twilight. "How dare you! I will tell something about it! Nobody stop nothing coffee, nor like I'm going after you!" Twilight bent down on the ground and leaped for... Oh, sorry. Let me do that again. "How dare you! I tell something! Nobody ever stops nothing coffee without it! I'm going after you!" Twilight bent down on the ground and leaped for Mrs. Cake like a jaguar. Mrs. Cake screamed as the unicorn got closer, before Mr. Cake picked up the gun and shot another dart at Twilight's belly, causing her to fall to the ground, snoring. The whole area was unclear, unfocused, in a shade of bark brown. I think it's supposed to be dark brown. Twilight didn't know what she was looking at, but she could feel the air around her head was really cold. She rubbed around her horn, only to realize it was a bag of ice on the top of her head. As her vision slowly came back to her, she was starting to see the color pink in a small shape. She blinked her eyes many times and finally made out Pinkie Pie standing in front of her. "You're finally awake!" Pinkie joyfully said. "I gotta say, you snore funny. No wonder Spike is always tired. I couldn't nap either." "What?" Twilight mumbled. "I'm back home?" "Yeah, the kids shot you with some gun that makes you sleepy. Don't worry, they only want you to pay for a new window, a new Starboard sign, and never to buy coffee from them again." "That sounds awful, Pinkie. How is this supposed to be good news? I already paid for everything." As her vision back to normal. I think that's supposed to be... I don't know. I don't even... that's probably the only big part of this story that doesn't make sense. As her vision back to normal. I think got back to normal. She rubbed her temples with her floor hooves, the ice bag really helping with the headache she was getting. "Why would you do that? Did you know how you were when you were... Did you know how you were when you were really hyper? More than me, I know that. You were the only pony that could do everything. I can't say this for some reason. Did you know how you were when you were really hyper? More than me, I know that. You were the only pony that could do everything I want to do, and even better than I." "How's that supposed to help me? I hated that. I didn't have any self-control." "Silly head," Pinkie Pie said, while dropping a huge frappe in Twilight's lap. "I'll teach you self-control, but right now drink up. I got a whole schedule ahead of us." The end. That was kind of funny. I like the part when Twilight was talking really, really fast, because that was fun to do. Even though I said nothing except gibberish, but you know. Anyway, I'll record another story, and then I'll see you there. But until then, I will see you guys later. Brony on!